Hi again, it's me, Malanka, and if you're still with us, I appreciate the support and to hearing my story. I'm not doing this for any other reason than to get everything off my chest and try and heal the best that I can. Now, I know my situation is a little bit more intense because I'm not just going through the whole narcissist divorce, but I'm dealing with a whole lot of other aspects in my life, including family issues, financial issues, mental health issues, fighting with so many different people between workers' compensation and long-term disability and the CRA and the police and CFS. It's exhausting, but I'm hoping that even though it's been 3.5 years, that things do get better soon. But anyways, I'm gonna get back to my story. So by October 1st, after my ex Kyle was out working a lot, like he was never home. I don't even think if he was actually sleeping at home. I think he was staying at his brother's or his parents' most of that time. But we ended up having a heart-to-heart on October 1st. And he said he needed some space and some time, and he needed to figure out his feelings. But he still wanted to try and work on our marriage. And I said, that's fine. I wasn't ready to end our relationship. I was really badly trauma bonded because this is the beginning of 9 months before we ended up saying that's it. Well, technically I said that's it. I can't take it anymore. And on October 4th, after I gave him some space, we had another fight. It was a bad one. He ended up sleeping on the couch that night, and the following day we had our friend's daughter's birthday party. He was acting cold and nasty towards me to the point where I just broke down. I went to our basement. I needed some time. I was crying. But he didn't care about me. Everything had been turned off by that point. And what little care he showed wasn't genuine, but it was hard to actually see that in the state of mind that I was in. We got ready for the birthday party, and I kind of just snapped just before we left. Like, why are you acting like this? Why are you treating me like this? I was crying, and he got so angry. He ended up kicking a backpack and was really scary. And he had really bad anger issues. I thought we were kind of getting better at that, but at that point, it got a lot worse. I told him he's not leaving with my kids, especially my daughter, without me, because he was going to take them without me. And it's like, she's still breastfeeding. Like, you can't just take my child. Like, my children are everything. They're the reason I live and breathe. They're the reason why I keep on going. They always have been. They've been the center of everything for me. But he ended up taking our son, and not long after, I ended up following in my own vehicle with our daughter. And we went to the birthday party, and I tried. I really did try. Our friend was very kind and understanding of what was going on. I was completely open and honest with her with what was going on and what was happening, what I was going through, because we had bonded. Our 2 daughters were basically the same age, and we did a lot of play dates, and we got really close in that year. The moment that my ex went outside and decided to smoke with everyone, I just snapped. Because when he first started to try and pursue me, I told him I would never marry a smoker. I didn't want a smoker. I didn't want to be kissing an ashtray. I didn't like anything about smoking. It was a nasty habit and I didn't want it a part of my life. And he was determined to have me in his life. So he claimed he quit. And we had a lot of issues with him hiding smoking behind my back. Like, before we ended up getting engaged, we broke up because what he's doing now, which was taking his guilt and blaming me and putting it all on me. It's my fault because he's hiding something. He's guilty about something. He had done that and he was blaming me. I'm a horrible person. And then it ended up coming out that he was actually smoking behind my back. He was lying to me. He was keeping secrets and I wanted nothing to do with him. Now, if it wasn't for my own narcissistic mom, who I was living with at the time, saying that, get out. Don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out. I want nothing to do with you. And she had kicked me out because he was begging for me to take him back. And I had nowhere else to go except back to his parents' place with him. So he was doing that, and him smoking at this party really triggered me, and I couldn't keep it together. And I apologized to my friend, and I said, I am so sorry, but I can't do this. And I was crying. I packed my daughter up, and I went to my vehicle, and I sat in it for a while. Again, fighting with suicidal thoughts. Talking to a family friend in Florida who was trying to give me support the best that she could. I was on the suicide hotline again. And then he ended up coming out and acted like he kind of cared. Do you know what? Go home. I'll just go get our son and I'll be right there. I'll come straight home. Because I was terrified that if I left that driveway, what I was going to do. If I left and was alone, even though I had my daughter, I was terrified of what I was going to do because of how he was treating me and what he was putting me through. I went home with our daughter. I fed her dinner, got her ready for bed, put her to bed. So I had been home for over 2 hours by myself, and he still hadn't shown up. When he finally showed up with our son, I walked out of the house. I handed him the baby monitor, got into my vehicle, and I left. There was already plans that our old neighbor's son had a wedding social that night and that I was going to go. But I ended up going to my friend's place for a little bit to kind of work through everything that was going on. And then I went to the social. And he was going to stay at home and watch our children. I needed time. I needed space. He wasn't happy about it, but I didn't care. I needed some me time and I needed to reflect. I left the social a little bit earlier and I got home. I found my ex face down on our bed with lights on, passed out. Fine. He had been working a lot. He was tired. It was late. But I had this feeling, this gut feeling that I had to look at his phone. I didn't trust him. I already had feelings that he was cheating on me. And I looked. And there was a message from some woman named Christine. Now, I don't remember a whole lot of those messages. I don't remember. I do remember some, but all I saw was red. I didn't think I reacted. I should have taken screenshots of his phone. I should have sent those screenshots to myself. But I was in an emotional state. All I saw was the heart emojis, the kissy emojis going back and forth to each other. Love ya, babes. Talking about wanting to cuddle in front of a wood stove. And then a picture of a fire in our wood stove that's in our basement. And then I lost it. I was reading this down in our living room, and I went back up there and I took a fist and I pelted him several times in the ass. And initially he didn't even wake up. So I ended up hitting him some more. Like, I was so mad. Like, how dare you? I gave you everything. Our first house, I put the full down payment on. I saw you from one job to another. I saw you all the way through your apprenticeship program that took years. I paid majority of our bills. I supported him. I was an amazing hunter's wife, so I would lose him for 3 months when he would go out hunting. And once he dropped a deer, I was involved with gutting, skinning, quartering, deboning, taking care of the meat. I took care of our kids. I gave him the world. I gave him everything. And apparently that wasn't enough. So he had woken up. And I told him, who the fuck is Christine? What is with these text messages? And the look of panic on his face. And he ripped the phone from my hands. And he ended up throwing it against the wall of our bedroom, which smashed his phone. So there went all the evidence that I had. And all I wanted to do was leave. I needed to leave. And he wouldn't let me. He held me. He held me in that room and I couldn't leave. I had no control over the situation. I tried to get away from him. I just wanted to get away because I hurt so bad and he wasn't giving me any answers. I wrestled and I fought and I somehow got us all the way to the living room, to the point where he held me down in the living room, and that was the first time he had mentioned divorce, that it was over. I screamed to get him to let me go. And eventually he did. And I jumped into my vehicle and I drove a little bit of ways. And I didn't really have a whole lot of people to go to. He did a very good job of isolating me from my friends, my family. The only people I had really in my life was him, his family, and his friends. And I contacted his parents because I thought maybe they'd give me some support. Maybe they'd help talk some sense into their son, their youngest son. And they basically said, well, if he's done, if that's how he feels, then that's it. They took his side. If he wasn't happy, then they'll support him. He can make his own decisions. They'll take his back. And I broke. I don't know what compelled me to drive back home, but I did, and I grabbed a bottle of wine and I just started chugging it. And surprisingly, his parents ended up showing up to our place. I think it was like 3 or 4 o'clock at night. And they ended up showing up to our place. And they tried to talk, but still, they were taking his side. They didn't care how I was feeling, what I was going through. They took his side. If he's not happy, then it's done. Then it's over. And he said that Christine was just a friend from work. He had known her from work for so long, and that's all she was. She was happily married. He played off this really sappy story that they're just friends. But the funny thing is, I knew pretty much everyone he worked with. He spoke about everyone except for her. I had never heard of her before. But they've been working together for 7 years. On and off, because he was in and out of that company. And I'm like, I don't know who she is. Who is she? I've met most of his coworkers. I met his boss. Yet I never knew who she was. And somehow they convinced us that we should take some time, but we should still work on our marriage, and he agreed to it. And again, I was hopeful. I didn't want my marriage to end for my kids' sake. I didn't know what I would do without him. I was terrified. I thought I loved him and I thought he loved me. So I didn't want it to end. So we all went to bed. And as usual, he slept in and I got up with the kids. And then when he eventually got up, he decided, you know what, I'm going into the city. I need to replace my phone. So I'm going in the city. I'm going to leave you and the kids at home. I need space anyways. And he left. And I didn't hear from him for, I want to say, 3 or 4 hours later. And he basically said, I got my new phone. Dad needs some help at grandma's. So I'm going to go help him. And I was like, okay. Not that I actually believe that, what he actually told me. I really don't. I don't think he actually went to go help his dad at his grandma's. I question everything he's ever said to me now. I don't believe anything he's ever said, especially now because I've caught him in so many lies since and throughout our divorce. He just can't tell me the truth. He can't be honest. He can't own up to anything. But he claimed he wanted to make our marriage work. He put a little bit of hope. And that's all it took to continue this long, very long story. And if you want to keep on listening to this story, I will continue posting. Press subscribe so you hear or are notified when another video comes up. I don't want to bombard you guys with too much information because it's overwhelming. Everything that I've been through, everything my kids have been through is overwhelming. And I'm going to slowly go through it because I can't do it all at once myself. Because this isn't easy. But it's a start. That's all I can say. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and have more strength than I did to end things sooner than what it was. Bye and stay safe.